The games industry will only be able to support 2 successful game consoles in the next generation of hardware, a new report claims, and one of those will clearly be Nintendo. Market research from DFC Intelligence released its annual market report and forecast this week, in which it projects major revenue growth for the second half of the decade, while predicting significant risk for one of the 3 established console manufacturers. DFC predicts that thanks to new hardware from Nintendo and major releases such as GTA 6, the games industry will enjoy record growth in 2025, following a period of decline following the COVID-19 pandemic. The firm predicts that the number of people worldwide who play video games will exceed 4 billion by 2027, nearly half the global population. It projects that Nintendo will be the clear winner in the next generation of consoles, due largely to a combination of earlier availability and limited competition. However, DFC projects that only one of Sony and Microsoft will be able to successfully compete with Nintendo when their new console launches by 2028. Quote, there isn't room for more than 2 major console systems, it says. Quote, Sony or Microsoft will struggle mightily in a distant third place, largely depending on which of those companies gain early momentum. DFC believes it's too early to know which of Xbox and PlayStation will drop off next gen, stating that price points, launch dates, and other basic features such as portability will factor. Quote, a new Sony system should have an advantage because of a loyal base and strong Sony IP, it says, while noting that Microsoft will go into its next console as the largest gaming publisher. Quote, Microsoft failed with the Xbox Series X/S, but has made major acquisitions to become world's largest software publisher. Microsoft has the option of focusing on software and distribution models over hardware. DFC Intelligence founder and CEO David Cole said in a statement, quote, over the past 3 decades, the video game industry has grown more than 20 times, and after 2 years of slumping hardware and software sales, it's poised to resume growing at a healthy rate through the end of the decade. While 2025 will mark the beginning of that upward trajectory, some huge questions remain, including who will lose the next-gen console war and who will win the game software distribution battle. And with that large publishers focused on live services around evergreen franchises, opportunities for smaller studios will be plentiful. Nintendo has yet to officially reveal its Switch successor, but the company has confirmed plans to do so during its current fiscal year, which ends in March 2025.
From how games have gone recently on the console side of things, this, not even just the console side of things, but games, this makes a lot of sense. Microsoft has for a while now been on the back pedal when compared to Sony in terms of exclusives to big name games and to consoles themselves. The most Microsoft has gotten ahead of Sony in recent talks has been on the mobile scene. And I talked about it a while ago before that was announced. I was like, that seems to be the space they have the best chance of, maximizing profits, because PlayStation's just, it's so cemented as far as a console maker goes. And, the next PlayStation console isn't probably going to be, it isn't going to be a big leap in technology. It could just be slight updates of the PS5 rather than a PS6. So the console market is going to be changing. It is changing. And due to the fact that Nintendo is Nintendo, they're insulated from all of this, while also being able to provide a mobile device, which is just appeasing to everybody. My brother recently, he got into video games again through the Switch because he loved them years ago.
Which one?
The Switch. Wait, what?
Brother.
Oh, Spencer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my older brother, he'd always been into games. My younger one, he fell off. But Nintendo, they're just those. It's that game that can draw you in very easily. So even if you aren't going to be a pro gamer and get the big giant machine, you have them on one side. And then if you want the giant big machine that's not a PC, you got the PS5. No one I've met really is trying to jump on the new Xbox console. When the sales were going, when people were having a hard time getting consoles, it was the PlayStation that people have had a hard time getting. Xboxes, to a degree, to a much lesser degree. I remember I was trying to get one for my brother while also trying to get a PlayStation, and it was night and day difference. The first time I tried to get an Xbox, I succeeded, took multiple tries for the PlayStation. And I think that really framed my perspective on, who's in the running nowadays. And aside from just mobile devices, Microsoft should just be focusing on making better games. Not only just, well, they were never really trying their hand at exclusives. They didn't really dive too hard into, standout IPs. More just trying to have a lot of games under their catalog.
And this is where I'm going to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
I've got two perspectives on it. One that's focused on the past, one that's focused on the future. Which would you like to hear first?
Past.
This is not surprising to me that there's not enough room for three major consoles in the industry at one time. Let's break that down, right? You can kind of start, Atari, then Nintendo, and then Sega, and then Atari falls away, right? Then let's take it forward another generation. PlayStation hits the scene. Sega starts falling away. Nintendo stays true. I think Nintendo now at this point is so established in the industry that it's going to be pretty hard to get them to move ever at all. And you know what, Connor? That got put into practice. The next generation forward, who enters the field? Xbox, Microsoft, right? And then now we have sort of the standstill between the big three, whether it's, the original Xbox, but really the Xbox 360 is where they really start doing some damage and making some numbers and waves for themselves. So Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Nintendo Wii. Now, of course, Nintendo Wii, major success, but because Nintendo pivoted away from the hardcore gamer, away from the traditional gamer, and tried to get more people involved. Try to get your grandmas involved, and your grandpas, and so next thing you know, everybody's aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, everybody got a Wii, right? Because of the whole movement, get up, get off the couch gimmick that they were pushing so far. But what happened immediately after that? Wii U. Nintendo's
Success.
biggest mainstream failure to date. That should have knocked Nintendo out of the market. And I think only because they were so established in the early years of the video game industry forming is how they were able to stay alive and continue through and push forward with success with the Switch. And so now we once again are forced to look at the landscape of games. And if you look at just the history of the video game landscape, there have not been a consistent big three or a consistent three major competitor market ever. Not really, right? Because as soon as Nintendo bounced back, Xbox fell away again. And they've I'm not going to say they've been on a downward trend ever since, but it's been peaks and valleys, right? Or sort of like placating at a lower rung than the other two. So my thing is, I don't think the industry has ever had room, really, at least in any long form way. It's just so hard to tell because the industry's so young. But I think this is the establishing of the pattern of you've only got two big console manufacturers at a time. One of them is going to be Nintendo because they were here from the start, And then that brings me to my second perspective on this, which is who cares? Because if we look forward to the future, I already said 10, 15 minutes ago, the future is streaming. Eventually, a console will not matter. It'll be a stick that you plug into your TV. And then eventually, it'll just be the TV. It'll just be a screen. And that screen will download your app. It'll download your PlayStation store. It'll download your Xbox storefront, your Nintendo storefront, and everybody will play through that. And then, honestly, all of the market may just go to controllers. And what controller do you personally like? And in that realm, there doesn't need to be a major. I mean, there's always going to be a major guy, right? But how many different keyboard manufacturers are there? How many different TV remote manufacturers are there? Usually that comes with the TV, so bad example. But you know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Will Xbox stop being a console manufacturer? Maybe not next generation, but the one after that? Probably. But how many more generations do we have before that just kind of doesn't matter anymore?
Well, a lot of that depends on the technology you're talking about and when it's going to come to fruition in a point where it's going to be able to replace consoles.
Right, but at the rate that I'm talking about, I'm talking the next 15 years. 15 years from now, are you going to tell me we still have consoles?
Easily could. That's the thing.
I don't think we easily could, Connor. I think we very easily could not. Because technology has been growing at an exponential rate, and it just keeps growing. Now, you can say we've hit a bit of a plateau now, but that's only because the internet hasn't caught up. But at some point, I would say probably in the next 10 to 15 years, I would predict, some random guy who knows nothing, internet's going to catch up. It's getting better. And that's 5 years ago, the idea of streaming something to your device was ludicrous. Oh, there's no way to support that. That's not going to happen. But now I have this little discount device called a PlayStation Portal that's kind of like on the lower end of technology, and it streams games fine. So, like, just in 5 years, we've gone from impossible to, oh, no, that's a thing that everybody can do. And it's pretty easy. You can do it on your phone. Pretty easy, right? And so another 5 years, another 10 years. And the problem solves itself.
But that's where the issue comes into play, because you're talking about people that invest millions and millions of dollars and like to plan things out. Planning things out to a point of, a technology that may or may not come to fruition isn't a good way to run a business. And so we're not in the conversation yet to really say that it doesn't matter, because we don't know what's going to matter in the next
It is not
years.
a matter of will or will not. It is a matter of when.
But even within that, when could be a long time. Because you're saying with how the technologies have advanced, sure, we could be heading really quickly into the streaming service, or like how you said, we've kind of at the peaks and valleys. We're at the plateau. Good word, Tavin. For consoles, it is they could reach that for streaming. We've just had the PlayStation Portal. We've had the Steam Deck come out.
Right, but my point being, the next big breakthrough is not through the power of the technology; it's through the power of the internet. And what was the internet 20 years ago? Less, a lot less, right? So just jump forward another 20 years, because we're talking generations. Listen, this generation's got another 4 years in it, 4, maybe 5 if they really want to stretch it, but likely 4. The analysts are saying probably 2028 is when PlayStation's ready to go again. Switch is clearly ready to go again, and it's weird to just be like, like Nintendo will win because it has an earlier advantage. Nintendo's not caring about generational runs anymore, so they're on their own schedule, right? Which is obviously working out great for them. And then now we look at like PlayStation, and you just see the iteration happening, right? PS4 had a small little jump with the PS4 Pro. PS4 to PS5, not excluding the Pro, not that big of a jump, right? I mean, there was a jump, but it wasn't that big. It's smaller than from 3 to 4, and obviously from 2 to 3. It's getting smaller as we keep going. So the point being, that's the next breakthrough. That's the next thing that makes everybody get excited. That's the next thing that makes everybody go, oh man, the future, can't wait. It's that thing. So, if we can see it, if guys like you and I can see it, then bigwigs who are in private meetings and conversations and know how that technology is working and developing and coming about, they're planning for it. There's no way they're not. And my example of that is Xbox Cloud streaming. Xbox knows they're not winning this console race anymore. Yeah. They've been known that. Phil Spencer has admitted it. They're running third. They've been running third for 2 generations now. They know they don't have long in this market. So what are they doing? They're building out a foundation for streaming because it's coming. It's only a matter of time. Like the genie's out of the bag or out of the bottle. There's no other way around it. It's only a matter of time. Now we can sit here and go, oh, but it'll be forever, yada yada yada. 5 years ago, a PlayStation Portal would have been laughed out of the room. Today, it's a cool device that's on the lower rung of technology. Like, that's only a 5-year jump. It's gonna keep going. It's not like we're gonna sit on our hands and sit here and wait for 5 years until it magically happens. There's somebody actively working in a lab right now on how to get the internet to work better and how to get it to more people.
The thing is, I don't think these companies really care about those advancements in technology without knowing for sure that it's going to result in profit.
It will.
Yeah.
It undeniably will. I'll go ahead.
Yes, but not with what they have right now.
I'll go ahead and predict right now, this next generation coming up is the last generation that is solely focused on physical, on selling you a physical box. I'm not saying, what are we in right now? We're in the 8th generation, 9th? We're in the 9th. So 10th generation, 2028, yeah, it'll be a very traditional PlayStation 6 box, right? The one after that, they'll still have a box, but there will also be a different SKU of like, hey, you can also like buy this USB drive or something equivalent to that at a cheaper price, and you can just stream all of your stuff, and we'll just allow you to do that. Like, that future is knocking on the door. It's happening sooner than later. Now, will it be the main profit margin? No. But at the same time, Connor, if PlayStation comes out next generation and they don't have a handheld equivalent device, whether it's a separate device from the main box or is the main box that you can pick up and go like a Switch or a Steam Deck, they will lose. We already know Microsoft's working on it. There's been leaks forever about how they've got a handheld in the works, because that's where the industry's at right now, is portability, the ability to take it somewhere.
But even beyond that, not just focusing on consoles. One of the last times that was a focus, specifically from Microsoft, was with the Xbox One, with all of the focus on TV streaming and whatnot, and it failed massively. You still need to make games
the marketing
to go along with it.
Because the marketing was wrong. Because I don't know if you remember, there was a conversation after the boxes launched and the big failure happened and Xbox had to pivot back to games. There was a big conversation of like, guys, this was the roadmap. This was the plan. And everybody went, oh, wait, that sounds good. And guess what? That's where the industry is today. The problem with that beat was marketing. It was TV, Call of Duty. That was the problem. This still keeps it in the realm of games. It's still about playing the latest and greatest video games. It's not about getting the TV, which will be there also, because of course it will, because that's easy, right? It's not about just your big Madden, NFL, Call of Duty switchers, right? It's not about that, unless they fumble the marketing again, which I don't think they would, because obviously that was a big failure, right? It's not about being the multimedia device. It's about making the device better. It's about putting games where you want them instantly, and not having to worry about downloads, not having to worry about load times, not having to worry about where you can play your video game. It can be anywhere, right? I can log in to a public computer, into my PlayStation account at, I don't know, a public library or some shit, into my PlayStation account and play the latest God of War, because it'll just stream right there and public internet is at that point, right? At some point. That's the dream. That's the goal. That's the idea. Do libraries have computers anymore? Surely they do, right?
Yes, they have computers.
Yeah. Are there libraries anymore?
They are. And they're very good and useful.
That's my point. It's not about taking the attention away from the games. It's how do we consume games in the next 15 years? And that's changing. Much like how you would not be able to imagine 10 years ago being able to, I mean, you could imagine it, but you always thought it was a pipe dream, being able to take the next God of War on the road with you. Not a pipe dream anymore. It's happening. It's happening right now. Like your buddy brought over a Steam Deck, and I got to put my hands on a Steam Deck for the first time, and I played Resident Evil 4 in that chair on a little handheld thing, and it worked well enough.
Yeah,
it was, the technology was like, it worked natively on the Steam Deck. It was just the Steam Deck's not the most powerful machine in the world right now, right? Eventually, those machines will be able to boost out about as much power as a PlayStation 5 console. They're getting damn close already, and so it's just, at some point it's like, all right, well, like, what's really the difference between a PlayStation 6 or 7 and my new PlayStation Portable thing?
Well, the first thing I would jump to is technology. I think that's like central here.
I mean, yes, the game will run worse than it would run on a PlayStation 6, right? It just natively will. But like, that's my point, is PlayStation 6, they will miss if they don't have a portable something. Now, will it be enough to knock them out of the industry in the console making market? No. But my point, to bring it back to the beginning, is it doesn't matter if you get knocked out of the console market. The console market's not existing for another 15 years. Not as the primary version of how to play games.
Guess we'll see.
I mean, the standardization of PC gaming is new technology. The idea of like Steam.
Yeah.
That's new technology. That's only been the last,
it's been around for
20 years.
That's a pretty good long while for technological purposes. I mean, things advance a lot all the time.
I'm older than Steam. That's not that long. That's not even half a person old.
You always talk about how you're old and you're getting old, so you're kind of contradicting yourself.
I mean, I am getting old. I'm in my late 20s now.
Yeah. It's so old.
No, but yeah, like 20 years, yeah, it sounds like a long time. And to an individual human, it is a long time. But in the grand scape of things, it's not that long.